fare ride, and one that doesn't take hours out of their day to get to and from their job. By making smart investments in transportation infrastructure and service like Express Ferry, what we're here to talk about today, we can cut commuter travel times in half or more. At the same time, we can tap into great opportunities in New York City and really help spur economic development and economic potential. So specifically towards that end, new express ferry service that would run between Staten Island St. George Terminal and Midtown Manhattan's Pier 79 is something I will put in place when I'm mayor. I want to do this because it'll greatly reduce commute times. But also, this ferry service and doing it and holding it now is something I'll work on inside the is relevant because we have great upcoming economic opportunity in Manhattan and in Staten Island, and we want to plan for it, support it, and facilitate it, spur job growth and economic development in Manhattan and Staten Island. And I want to underscore that because for far too long, the relationship between mass transit and economic growth has not been understood, and when I'm mayor, we're going to understand, embrace, and harness that. This ferry service, when it gets in place when I'm mayor, will provide riders with a 20-minute direct access to Midtown Manhattan. Current transportation options for someone from Staten Island to get to the same place in Manhattan, it could take a rider at least an hour, at least, probably more, to travel the same distance. The service that we'll put in place will also include a Midtown Manhattan shuttle service and city bike service, so when you get off the ferry, if you want to bike to Hudson Yards or whatever, you can do that, but I'd ask you to bring it home, and it'll be a safe bike. This new ferry service will take advantage of increased demand that resulted from several major development projects, the Wheel, a potential outlet mall planned for the North Shore of Staten Island, and the new commercial and residential space being developed at Hudson Yards in Manhattan. And I just want to note with the Wheel, you talk to the borough president of Staten Island, one of his biggest frustrations is the Staten Island Ferry is the second biggest tourist attraction in New York City, except nobody gets off. They come back, most of them, to Manhattan. This will help get people to the other side directly going to a tourist attraction, the Wheel, that will be there. This will create a Midtown Manhattan hotel ferry to get to the Wheel, and the other Staten Island ferry will create one for the downtown hotels. This ferry will also connect Staten Islanders to the 7 extension, allowing faster access to Long Island City and, for example, the tech jobs, the tech industry that's growing there. We really believe that this express ferry service here will work because we've seen the unbelievable success of the East River ferry service. That ferry service surpassed its year-long rider goal in its first 6 months. We know this ferry service will work. I also know, having traveled with a commuter, unfortunately a mega commuter from Staten Island yesterday, somebody who works and lives in the city, but whose commute is more than an hour and a half. I know the urgency of this. Adding more mass transit, adding more ferries, it's critical to reducing New Yorkers' commuter time. Reducing commute times is critical to improving the quality of life of New Yorkers, but also to spurring the kind of economic potential and access to the middle class that is crucial. You know, the woman I traveled with yesterday talked about having to make choices between being there for her family and taking an extra late night shift based around what the express bus service was. She sometimes would take an extra shift, know there wasn't going to be good express bus service, and take a $95 cab ride home. That's no way to help somebody get into and stay in the middle class. This ferry service will help commuters like her and other commuters have good, smart, fast options, and the fares will be just about what it is for an express bus, something that we know will be reasonable and financially accessible. So I want to thank the Waterfront Alliance, who have been great governmental partners and apolitical partners, nonpartisan partners I should say, in our ferry efforts across the city, and Ron Rowland to say a few words.
Yeah, that's yes, we're nonpartisan, but
this won't be a cardboard ferry. Like
no,
the last
no.
Okay.
But it doesn't stop us from saying, recognizing a good idea when we see it. And this is a great idea. Connecting Staten Island to Midtown Manhattan and cutting down commutes is something time has come. And I can also say, of course, that the speaker has not been a Johnny come lately or a Janie come lately to this issue.
It is a house of cards, though. That's all right. We'll start over. Let's give ourselves a second.
Whoever belongs to these things.
Who's WOR? Where did you plug into?
Well, the one was I put it back.
Very briefly, she's no Johnny come lately Janie or whatever her name is, this issue. She was the earliest that I heard of a call for a 5-borough ferry service. We're not there yet, but we're getting there. That begat the East River ferry service. It's been famously successful in terms of commutation, economic development. And one thing we have to remember, especially only 9 months after Sandy, we're island people. Having a redundant system of ferry transit times of emergency is a critical need for all of us. So making this ferry infrastructure, as she's worked as speaker and maybe as she might work as mayor, is a critical part of our transit system, and we applaud this is a good idea for Staten Island, and look forward to working in the future towards more ferry transit everywhere in the metropolitan area. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Roland. And I just want to say that Eastern Ferry Service, which you guys have been amazing partners in, 2.1 million riders last year, which is beyond any of our wildest expectations. And just to talk about Sandy for a second, redundancy is critical in transportation in our climate change era. But the first mass transit online after Hurricane Sandy, the East River Ferry. So this ferry will also give a borough, Staten Island, one we know that was incredibly hard hit by Sandy, extra ferry resources as well, which is critically important. This proposal is part of other mass transit proposals I've made during the mayor's race, the foundation of which is to get mayoral control of the MTA board, to get legislation passed in Albany that would allow me as mayor to appoint the majority of the MTA board and to appoint the head of the New York City Transit Authority. In addition to 5-borough ferry service, I want to expand by at least 10 additional select bus service routes and bus rapid transit. We also, just yesterday during my commute, came up with 3 additional ideas for our transportation platform. You know, when you're on the express bus, as was the case yesterday, often the bus gets full. But you have to swipe your card, walk to the back of the bus, see if their seats are full, get off the bus, and hope that the next bus driver believes you when you say you already swiped your card. Hello, how are you doing? Okay. What we should do is, particularly as we're updating to the swipeless MetroCard system, have a count on the machine. So the bus driver can look and see if the bus is full. That way he or she can say to the commuter, there's no more seats, so you don't waste that time at the bus stop unnecessarily slowing down the commute. Second, and this is a little more complicated, we should find a way, once the bus driver can monitor the count, a way that he or she can call back to central dispatch and say, we're 90–95% full. And do this prioritizing routes where this happens frequently. I'm not going to, after the next stop anymore because the bus is full. Send out a bus to start at X stop, go forward, and head into Manhattan. And third, on express bus stops are often regular bus stops as well. People line up together. Every bus has to stop to ask whether people are waiting for the express bus or the regular bus. There's no reason we don't just put 2 bus stop signs there. You're waiting for the express bus, you stand here. You're waiting for the regular bus, you stand there. Then the express bus driver doesn't have to stop if there's nobody waiting at the pole that is the express bus pole. And that's the kind of good ideas you have when you go out there and talk to New Yorkers and see what their real commute is about.